Said Chris has like an old soul. He has some wisdom God has given to him. He's been through a lot, and God has done wonders in his life. And Chris and I, we actually taped a rosary together, right, Chris? A couple weeks ago. My friend showed me it had 4,000 views the next day. Isn't that pretty cool? So we did a rosary together for teenagers. So what I'd like to do now is ask Brother Christian to come up and to give us a testimony.
So I was born into a cradle Catholic family, meaning my mom and my dad are super faithful. We would pray the rosary every night. I learned about God, the 10 Commandments. I learned what was right and wrong. I knew he was God and I knew he was real, and I wanted to get to heaven, or I was a good kid, but I was still disobedient and I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I get to middle school and everybody likes me, but I didn't have one person that I could connect with and, I don't know, be me. No one was close to me. Then in 7th grade, I got this great friend. We would hang out every day, play 2K, tight. We both loved the Warriors. We were bandwagons. That's when they were doing really good. I loved him, he loved me. And, I never thought we would ever, I thought we'd be friends till we died. In the summer of 7th grade, we didn't hang out so much. And he started hanging out with the popular crowd. And it's not like he rejected me or said anything mean, but everything changed. We weren't what we were. We didn't have the same connection. He didn't want to hang out with me on the weekends anymore. He wanted to hang out with them. And that pretty much broke my heart. I became depressed, miserable. I was so dumb. I would bang my head on the lunch table trying to get attention. I was still liked by everybody, but still had no friend group. There was the weird table where all they were pretty weird, I had to be honest. And then there was the cool table, and I guess I sat in the middle, if that makes sense. My mindset going into high school was, if I just become popular and I become liked, then I'll be happy. I'm not trying to defame God or leave him. I just want to be happy. I want to be popular. I want to be liked just like my friend is. I'm a people pleaser. It just comes naturally to me. I can just get whatever your sense of humor is. I can laugh at whatever you think is funny and, make it my own humor. I can totally turn face and put on a mask to do whatever I want to do and get whatever I want, basically. So that's where I'm at. And even before high school, I went on a retreat. My mom was worried about me. I was always locked up in my room watching YouTube because I didn't know how to deal with any problems. And she sent me on this retreat, and God was totally blocked out. Whatever God wanted to do for me on that retreat, totally gone. I just started hanging out with this old friend, climbed to the top of the roof, and while the big event was going on for the retreat, he told me, how much he had done with girls, and what he did, and how he smoked, and how the only thing that he really regretted was having sex. If I took one thing from that whole retreat that I was supposed to be giving to God, it was that. And so I go into high school, and it's in PE class. I notice who the popular kids are, and I start working my way in. I'm pretty much a wimp, so I started buying them lunches with my mom's money. And I was beginning to be popular. I was beginning to get everything I wanted. And so homecoming night, still not where I want to be. The dance is winding down, and one of my new friends invites me, says, "Hey, you want to come to the after party?" And I said, "Well, yeah, of course." Yes, I made it. I finally got everything I wanted. I finally got the cool squad that I need. And so I go afterwards. It wasn't really an after party. We were freshmen, so we were all just sitting around the fire, doing nothing, talking about nothing. And they invited me afterwards. They said, "Hey, you want to sleep over?" And I was like, "Of course, duh." Their parents go to bed, and this kid pulls out, weed. They all start vaping, and they start rummaging through the cabinets for the alcohol. I'm just pretending to be asleep. I was so shocked at what I had gotten myself into, because I never wanted to do any of that. I never wanted to smoke, drink. I was a good student, a good kid. That friend I told you about that had abandoned me, he introduced me to pornography, and I had no clue what that was at all. So I was always struggling with that because it wasn't getting me any popularity. I wasn't getting any friends because I was watching it. So I was just, all clouded. I started with just vaping because vaping's not a sin, I thought, but I absolutely hated it. I got sick every time. I would buy puffs and different jewels just basically to look cool and act like I was somebody when really I absolutely hated it. And then that led to weed. My friends were always using a pen, and a pen, I don't know if for parents, it's a THC device that's way stronger than just weed, and it doesn't smell as bad, so you can be super hidden with it. And my friends were peer pressuring me all the time. Just do it, dude. It's just, why not? It doesn't matter. And I had the worst experience ever. I mean, I was going from like super hot, like burning, to super cold, and I was super paranoid, like all these cars were passing by. What if your parents are in those cars? Totally out of it. I mean, I was gone. And I started praying to Mary. I was like, I'll never go back. I'll never do anything ever again. Just get me out of this. And it ended. And my two best friends, one of them got his own device. And so I would go over to his house every weekend to smoke because after that, horrible experience, I totally forgot about that. And then I just loved it. And so I would just go over every weekend and we would smoke and have a good time and laugh and laugh and laugh. And I thought, wow, this is awesome. And then summer came around and I kind of stepped back like, whoa, dude, what are you doing? My family adopted a little guy. He's named Micah. He's the cutest thing on earth. And I thought, you need to change. And I was doing a youth camp. I love kids, so even when I was bad, I gave my all to those kids, and the counselors there, I became good friends with them. And it was wonderful. It was a great experience. I didn't drop my friends, but I didn't hang out with them as much as I would have if I hadn't done this camp. And it was the greatest summer I had ever had. But because I didn't hang out with my friends, my two best friends pretty much abandoned me again. I don't know if you've ever been abandoned by your pal, but it's the worst feeling ever. They were who I wanted to be, who I wanted to hang out with, and they just left me again. So the only other popular group was the Druggies. That's the only friend group I have left now. And this new kid comes to school. He wanted me to get my own device, my own pen. And I thought, oh, geez, yeah, I mean, I would love it, but I can't have my mom catch me with a drug dealer. Oh, and I forgot to mention, my parents knew nothing. They absolutely knew nothing. They were worried about me. They wanted me to hang out with these friends because I would always lock myself up in my room. They wanted me to go to these parties where I would get high because I had been a good kid. I had never done anything like this or wanted to do anything like this. But I just started that again. And I just said, okay, only when you're with your friends you can do this. It's no biggie, no big deal. And then it became, okay, even if you're not with your friends, it's on the weekend, you don't have any homework, you're not doing anything, big deal. Smoke and watch some YouTube, play some video games, that sounds great. And then it became, I have homework, but I'd rather smoke, so why not? So then it became pretty much daily at that point. Then it was like, oh, you don't have a test, or you don't have an important class next, why don't you just come to the bathroom with us and why don't we just hit the pen? And this was the middle of sophomore year. I had become everything I ever wanted to become. I was popular, I was well liked. I didn't have a girlfriend because I was so awkward, but you take what you can get. And I was miserable. I was totally and utterly miserable. I knew God was real, but I didn't want him to be real. I wanted him to go away. I hated him, and I wished that we had just come from apes and that was it. We would just go back to dust And then that's the end of the story. No heaven, no hell. I could do whatever I wanted. I would say the one thing that saved me was not having sex. I wanted to have sex so bad. And Satan threw me like the best opportunities, the most wounded girls, the most, pretty. And I mean, it's partly me because I'm such a doofus. And it's, partly God that nothing ever happened. I mean, that was the one thing that if I had committed to that, that's why I hated God so much, because I knew that that was a mortal sin, and I knew that that didn't just affect me, that would also affect her. And I hated that. And I was so mad at God. I wished he didn't exist. I also hated my family at this point. I mean, I told it straight to their face how much I hated them. My mom especially, because she kept nagging me about the faith. Like, Jesus this, Jesus that, I was mad. I did not like my family. I didn't even really like my friends, except a few of them. I wanted a way out. I didn't want to choose God. I didn't want to serve Jesus. I still wanted to, be myself, but I didn't want to live the way I was living. My grades were slipping. My friends were coming over to do acid. And I remember going to a New Year's party, and everyone that I wanted to be friends with, I was. Every girl that I liked also liked me. Everything that I ever wanted, I had, and I saw at that party. And I was just done. I was just like, this is what you got to show for all your hard work. This is it. Like, this is the only thing you get. You get to be popular at a high school party. And my mom, Catholic radio host, and she was doing a show on weed. Her co-partner had struggled with an addiction for a long time. And she was reading this book on, I don't even know what it was called. Something like, like one of those corny books, like with the 15 things you should know about marijuana, something like that. And I just happened to flip to one page that she had marked, and it said, where is smoking weed wrong in the Bible? Because by this time, I was like, it's not a mortal sin. The only mortal sin is sex. Like, that's the only mortal sin. So I didn't know, I really didn't know what I was getting into. And mortal sin, by the way, is like complete separation from God, if you guys didn't know. So I opened the book just randomly, and I flipped to a page where it quoted, I think, Romans, St. Paul's letter to the Romans, where it talked about you had to have your clear mind, and using potions and whatever to cloud it was absolutely wrong. I'm paraphrasing. I mean, that's not like direct from the Bible, but it was something along those lines. And I was pretty hit by that. And my mom really wanted me to see this priest, and I was having none of it. She wanted me to go to this retreat where this priest was coming only this time. He was never going to come back. You got to go, Christian. And I was like, no way. No way. But I forgot my final Spanish assignment. And I called my mom. I said, hey, you got to bring me this assignment. This is 50% of my grade. I'm going to flunk if I don't get this assignment. And she said, all right, I'll give you the assignment if you go to this retreat. And I said, all right, whatever. Okay, just bring the assignment. Love you, Mom. Bye. And I would always say, I love you, Mom. I don't know why, because I didn't. And so she brings the assignment, and I go to this retreat, and it's all old ladies. I mean, there was not one woman that was under 75 at that retreat. Except my mom and my dad and me. And it was about the end times. And I had always been thinking in the back of my head, like, okay, once you get past college, then you can choose God, then you can do whatever you want, but right now, you gotta have fun. I mean, this is the beginning of your life. That holy stuff can wait. And at that retreat, I kind of got brought down to earth, like, you don't have time. You don't have time to change. You might die tomorrow. Like, so whatever you're doing now, that's what you're taking with you. And I was pretty affected by that. So what would happen was I would smoke, and then I would clean the kitchen, and I would clean my room, and I would try to be as good as I could while still, doing what I did. And so this is the place I'm at, December break of sophomore year. I'm trying to get out. I read that passage, and then I told my mom, hey, Mom, I've got something to tell you, but I'm not ready yet. And at that point, she's a counselor, so she was having none of that. So she brought me into her room. And I mean, how are you supposed to tell your mom? She knows nothing, all that I did. So she started asking questions. And all I had to do was, nod my head or shake my head for the answers. And, I pretty much told her everything, except the worst things, like I had my own device in my house. My friends were doing acid. Told her about pornography, smoking, drinking, partying, everything. And the next day, I called my friends, and they were like, you idiot. You idiot. You told your parents everything, because they had all gotten caught, but my parents knew nothing, and they thought I was the dumbest dumbbag ever. And I did too. I started thinking to myself, dude, you're never going to hang out with these kids again. What are you doing? Like, you just left everything. You told your mom everything. Why? And, my best remedy, I just started watching YouTube again for 2 days pretty much. I didn't shower or shave, thinking, you complete idiot. What are you doing? And it was the second day, like 2 a.m. My mom had been pushing me to read her book. She has a book called The Warning. I was like, no, Mom, I'm not reading your book. One, it's a holy book, and then it's by my mom. Like, what? That sounds crazy. But it was 2 a.m., I was miserable, I had nothing else to do, and I wanted to go to bed, and you can't go to bed after you've been watching YouTube for an hour. It takes like an hour to get to bed once I don't even know why. So I was like, okay, to heck, like, why don't I just open this book? And I opened it, and I read one word, and I was so filled with the Holy Spirit. I started jumping up and down. I ran downstairs. It's 2 a.m., mind you. And I started jumping up and down and telling my mom everything I was going to do, helping out through the media, helping out with whatever. And it was the happiest moment of my life. And I didn't even know what was going on. I was so happy. And I was so free and so, I don't even know, just joyful. I'd never felt like that in my entire life. And from that day, it's been a slow conversion. I've had many relapses back into mostly YouTube and movies and stuff like that. But it's been a steady climb upwards, and it's been the best climb of my life. I mean, I was so miserable and so anxious and so broken. And so, I don't even know, just dead. And now I'm so alive and so happy, even when everything's going wrong. And I can't explain it. And I'm no saint or I'm no nothing. I'm just a kid, but I'm just a happy kid. And I can't thank God enough. So, yeah, that's my little story. I was shaking when I got up here, but now I'm doing okay. So, yeah, that's about it. So God bless you all. I'll go back to the camera now.